All right, so all of that was from a conference call with reporters on Friday. Dan Graziano, you were one of those reporters. What were your takeaways from all the things Aaron just said?
Found it interesting, Greeny, that he drew a dichotomy between, being not thrilled, as he said, about the pick because of its effect on his ability to manage the remainder of his career. He stayed away from criticizing the team, as many people have done, for failing to improve in the short term, right? For not drafting a receiver in a big receiver draft. Talked up his current receivers, young guys that he thinks are going to continue to develop this year. But when he talked about himself and his future, he said he still wants to play into his 40s and still would like to finish as a Packer, but acknowledged that because of this pick, it may not be in his control anymore. He used that word a couple of times. He said it takes away some of the controllables. So I found it interesting that he would be sort of reassessing his own ability to manage the remainder of his career the way he wants to, as opposed to just being angry that they didn't make a 13-3 team better.
Yeah, I think it was a very honest and very professional way of reacting to it for the first time publicly. But Marcus, do you think this thing is bound to get ugly? One way or another, somewhere along the line, it takes a turn into the place that maybe we expected it to go Friday.
Gee, Aaron Rodgers knows he's out of Green Bay, and yes, it will get ugly at some point, especially in what I think him trying to force his way out of Green Bay probably before they want to start that succession plan in Jordan Love. Look, Aaron Rodgers is an uber competitor. That's the number one thing people know. And also, Aaron Rodgers is one of the elite quarterbacks to ever play the position. So if you think that Aaron Rodgers is going to be in an organization that is clearly already planning for the future with this Jordan Love pick, that he's going to sit idle and just say, okay, I'm going to play these rest of the years out of my country. He may be forced to, and that's another reason for it to get ugly, G. But I think this, like I said before, Aaron Rodgers is going to try to get out of Green Bay before we all think Aaron Rodgers is going to be out of Green Bay. That's how I feel, and I'm sticking to it because that calm, calculated demeanor that he had just now, that's fine for this year because he knows he's going to be starting and playing, and that's the only option that they have. But wait until next offseason when we back on Get Up, G, and I'm talking to you about Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, and all of this juicy news about him getting out of Green Bay starts to come to fruition.
I hear you, and I agree. The money is going to be really complicated because he has huge money due in this coming season and the season after that. But, Neek, I don't know if this is a good analogy or not, but I've heard a million times people say that once a player starts talking about retirement, he might as well be retired. Does it then hold that if the team is already planning for its future beyond Aaron Rodgers, that on some level it has already begun and Rodgers knows it?
Yeah, I don't see how it doesn't. I think it's not only the problem that Rodgers knows, it's that everyone knows it. They sent the clear message to everyone that this is Matt LaFleur's team and we're moving in a direction that fits best with Matt LaFleur, not necessarily Aaron Rodgers going forward with all the decisions they made in the draft. And I do think that Aaron Rodgers handled it amazingly professionally, better than most people would and better than I would, absolutely, if I'd ever accomplished nearly what he did on the field. And I do think that there are a lot of nonsense football adages out there, but that one, you can only control what you control. Like, that rings quite true, at least to me right now, as my internet's going out, I'm switching, we got camera malfunctions, just pulling it all together. All I can control is these takes, Greenies. That's all I can control is these takes that I'm giving you.
But you're doing it extraordinarily well. Dan Graziano, let me come back to you. Because Marcus and I think both agree. Aaron would probably like to get out of there as soon as possible. But I don't have the figures exactly in my head. But it's huge money this year and huge money the following year. So how does that look if he really does want to get out of there?
Well, I think, they could do it next offseason and take a massive dead money salary cap hit if they wanted to. But more likely, 2022 is the first time they can get out of that contract via cutting him or trading him. And that's probably the date that looms in his mind in terms of when he has to be thinking about maybe being somewhere else. Of course, that depends on what Jordan Love does developmentally in the meantime. Depends on what the Packers do, too. Remember, the Packers are not in a rebuild mode. They're coming off a 13-3 season where they went to the NFC Championship game. So if you're Aaron Rodgers, and he indicated this a couple times on that call, it's pretty easy to focus on the short term and trying to reach the Super Bowl with a team that came that close to doing it just this past season.
Marcus, is there an impact on the other players on that team? They're all aware of this conversation. They've all have their own conversations about it. They all know what's going on. Does it impact the rest of the players?
Hell yes, especially if your quarterback is on here talking about the team planning for the future. Look, here's the deal too. Aaron Rodgers makes a lot of guys better. He's creating opportunities for a lot of other guys to have success in this league as well by him being on the team when you talk about his play on the field. So you better believe a lot of guys are paying attention. Gee, this is the thing that we forget because we get enamored with these quarterback conversations. Quarterbacks determine a lot about how other players are perceived and how their future careers go. So while Green Bay is planning for the future, they better hope they have it right with Jordan Love when they plan on moving on from Aaron Rodgers, because they may have players there now that want to move on because Aaron Rodgers is moving on perceivably. And there's another whole layer to the fact that Aaron Rodgers may want to get out of Green Bay before it's time. I can't wait to talk about it when he finally tell us, hell, I'm getting out of here.
And again, Hembo just popped it up there, which is great work. $31.6 million in dead money would be the cap hit next year, not this coming season, but the one after. So the likelihood is that Rodgers is in Green Bay for 2 more seasons, even if he doesn't want to be. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.